Welcome to Music and Medicine.
Welcome to Music and Medicine.
Welcome to Music and Medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Moshe Lewis. Welcome to Music and Medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Moshe Lewis, and I'm excited to be joined by Billy Moss here, CEO of your own entertainment group. Billy, I know you have a pretty extensive repertoire and things like that, so just let's roll back the clock a little bit and talk about some of the artists that you've worked with and some of the things you've done, because I know you try to be modest with the fur here and stuff like that, see how you roll, but I hear they call you Billy the Billionaire, and there's a reason.
Well, you know what? Tweet gave me that name, Billy the Billionaire. So yes, if we rewind the clock back, I think like the first artist I ever developed was Adina Howard. You know, back in the day, and you know she was signed to a gentleman by the name of Olivia Harris. We kind of partnered up. You know, I was making records, and he was doing the management side, and you know, got her a deal situation and. Everything was successful for her. First album did great. Freak Like Me was like #1. And then myself and Jamie Foxx came back and produced this song called T-Shirt and Panties on her. That was amazing. It did pretty good for her, you know. I mean, we were always producing and writing records to the edge. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like how Next was. You know what I'm saying? Like they were on the edge with a lot of their records, and you know we kind of did the same thing with Adina. So I did that, and then I wanted to develop my own group and sign them to my own company. And the first group I developed was ISIS, and I wrote and produced a lot of songs in that project. And I did a deal with L.A. Reid when he took over Arista Records. That Next was signed to, because you guys were on Arista also, I think.
Under Clive.
Under Clive. So L.A. Reid took over that label, and he gave me an opportunity. He gave my company a production deal and basically let me do my thing. So ISIS was the first girls group that I ever developed, and they did pretty good. I think now, as of last week, they're at 1 million streams. You know, because there's new platforms out there now. And Adina Howard is at 10 million streams. It's
I mean, her songs too. Everybody knows that. What do you think gave you that type of insight? It's edgy and it's a little raunchy too, but what kind of, because I think that's the biggest challenge for people to try to understand, like how do you create truly from a inspiration perspective to turn into hit? Maybe that's a goal, but just the creative process.
Well, we were raised on Prince and Michael Jackson back in the day, right? And then R. Kelly came along with the public announcement situation. And, you know, back then, you know, Prince was, you know, he's a little bit on the freaky side, you know. And with Adina, I was like, okay, let's try something, you know, sexual from a female perspective. And she was with it. She was with the smoke, everything, you know, bring it on. Yeah, so, and she let us try different things on her. So, you know, that's kind of how I got into that lane, because, you know, we wanted to connect to the audience and make songs that they can identify with. And, you know, keeping it sexy is always selling.
That's
you know
always,
what I'm saying?
Gonna work. Always gonna work.
Yeah.
Where did things take you afterwards? Because if I'm not mistaken, you worked with some other artists that you're being very modest about.
Yeah. So, you know, after Adina, and between her, you know, I worked with this artist. I was signed to Warner Chappell, and you know, I was complaining to my publisher, hey, man, you guys never get me any placements, you know. And it was an artist named Mark Morrison that was in the UK. And he was being difficult on that side for them. And I guess Warner Chappell and WEA was like, listen, we got this producer in LA that's complaining about placements. Let's see what he could do with Mark Morrison. So it was basically because he was difficult. You know, they thought it was going to be a hard project for me to work on. So I mean, I came out there, you know, I put together like 4 or 5 records with him. One of them being Return of the Mac, that's still still playing now. Another one was like Moan and Groan, which and Trippin'. It was both of those went #1 in the UK and the rest of the world. And then just Return of the Mac, the whole album, you know, and the single came here to Atlantic Records and. It's still playing today.
Right. It's still on there. Yeah. Tell us about, you slipped it in there really quickly, but not everybody knows all these technical terms, placements, and what it means, and the work you have to do for your artists and how important it is, because they can have a good song, but it doesn't mean much if you don't have great placement.
So that's important, right? I'm glad you asked that question. One of the things about placements, right, it's difficult because there's a lot of producers out there. It's a lot of A&Rs that manage producers. And, you know, of course, they're trying to get their records in with the people that they manage. So, you know, because the music industry is all about making money.
Right, of course.
You know, the business. So for me, you know, I felt like, man, like I really want to get on this project, but I'm submitting my record with 100 other people, right? So that's what made me want to develop my own artists and get placements on their albums, you know. So like with ISIS, I got them a deal. Now I got 12 songs that I could pass out to other producers, and I could produce something myself. So placements are important, you know. Like I got a placement was in 2020 on LMA, which was huge. Now she's double platinum, you know. So getting cuts placed is important for your publishing and how you get those checks.
Sure. And just walk us through, I know it seems so straightforward, but just pretend that we are dealing with people that haven't always been there, even though they're creating beats every 5 minutes and wake up every day, write a new song. Walk us through that process, from song to publishing to placement.
Okay, so you're at home, you put together your song. If you make the track, you own 50%, right? If you do the lyric side, like I could use Tweet as an example. Like he's got this single, I'm Like That, right? Where a producer made the track and he wrote all of his lyrics. So a song splits out 50-50. The composition side is 50% and the lyrical side is 50%. And that's 100%. Both of them, you know, of course, come together. And then you take that and then you register at ASCAP, BMI, or CSAC, right? So, so once you get past that part, then if the record, you know, gets on the air and it becomes a hit, and then the royalties, ASCAP monitors your airplay, and then you get a royalty check. You know, it starts off, you know, it's a couple of pennies here and there, you know, but if it's doing well, now we're in the streaming world. You know, every 1,500 streams, it counts for a sale. You know, a sale is $1.29 or 99 cents for a download. But if you get a lot of them around the world, it adds up,
Right. And as open markets continue to emerge, be it China and things like that, everybody's looking to that. The potential is even that much greater.
Yeah, I mean, and this is what's hurting the music industry right now. Well, record companies, not the music industry, you know, because now you have Spotify and Apple Music. You got all these digital platforms that have came along, and, you know, the majors with the major overheads like the Warners and the Sonys and the Universals of the world, you know, they struggle a little bit because, you know, these digital companies are taking a huge share of the market now. Yeah.
More and more. You don't have to say names if you don't want to, but a message for an artist that you found very difficult to work with, and then we'll do the opposite.
Okay. Well,
advice. It doesn't have to be personal. It could just be general, because again, some of the people watching this may not be music aficionados on the business side. So, you know, it's a rare treat to hear your perspective.
Okay. So, when I got into the management business, one of the first artists, actors that I managed was Tyrese Gibson. And it was a challenge.
Oh, we
was
heard
a
some
challenge.
things.
Yeah, it was a challenge. It was kind of hard. I mean, I love the guy. He's a great guy, and when you have all the responsibility that, you know, like with his family, all the different things that he had to deal with, you know, I kind of understand, you know, the difficulty, because you know he was young and having to balance, you know, acting, because you know. I manage Tweet now, and like Tyrese is what we call a triple threat. You know, Tweet is going to become the same thing. He's going to be acting, model, you know, because he's in great shape. Well, I'm going to create a full-on brand out of him. So he's going to be an actor, he's going to be a model, and he's going to also perform, like, you know, sing it, triple threat. And that's what Tyrese was, because he was a guest model, and then, I mean, all the films, I worked on Transformers with him, Waist Deep with him, Annapolis with him, what was it, Four Brothers? It was a bunch of films, you know, as well as working on this project with J Records, right? Because I was his general manager, and I had other managers that managed each sector, you know, so we, you know, had a company called HQE, and I ran that company for a good, like, 4 or 5 years. And it was fun, but it had some challenges. Yeah.
So I'm going to still hold your feet to the fire. What is that? What is that message? Not necessarily for him at this juncture, but for some younger artists that may be juggling a lot, and many of us have. We haven't been around this kind of money. We haven't been around people that are telling us something sometimes is for our own good, and we have a lot coming at us, to say the least.
Right. Well, you know, I'm going to tell you this. Okay, so you say a difficult artist to work with, you know. I guess in my career it's been, you know, it was tough with Tyrese at times. Everything wasn't always bad, but, you know, it was challenging. But the best artist I ever worked with, and he calls this company Best Life Ever, it's Tweet. Like, good energy, positive. I mean, even
I know, I feel it.
Even if I'm in a bad space, you know what I'm saying?
Every time.
Even if I'm in a bad space, and I you know, I think Tweet and I go back a good 20 years, you know, because we've been in the business for a little while, but always good energy, you know, always positive. It's somebody that you look forward to, like, you know, working with and trying to figure out business with, because he's going to be on time, and he's going to be about his business every time, you know, so, and he's great to work with in the studio.
So I'm going to take the hidden pearls, maybe leaving ego at the door, showing up before you're supposed to show up, because if you show up on time, you're late. And being willing to kind of let maybe those around you who have some experience at least give you advice. You still may not necessarily decide to follow it. I mean, they had their, you know, questions about Clive's decision making and things like that. But in the end, it sort of acquiesce. So sort of that willingness to sort of enjoy but kind of go through the process, as opposed to constantly fight against it.
Exactly, and that's Tweet. He's. I mean, if it's an issue, he'll bring the smoke too. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, like, it's just all good energy. And in 2022, that's what I want to be surrounded with. You know, because there's too much going on out there right now. We got COVID, we got this variant, that variant, and you know what I'm saying, all kinds of stuff going on right now. So, yeah.
Any on a high note, give us sort of three highlights of your career and in the way that music kind of represented that for you. Like, you were there, and because you're in the music world, you got to have these sort of phenomenal experiences.
Yeah, so, I mean, Jesus, I was blessed. You know, I mean, like, you know, when I was little, I was the one walking around with the beaded jacket on, Michael Jackson. We did the Victory Experience. You know, I tried to be an artist. It was terrible. You know what I'm saying? And we were signed to Motown. And one thing that stood out when I was in L.A. is, you know, I was able to get in business with MJJ, so his company through Sony. So here I am working with Brownstone at Michael Jackson's label. One of the girls from Brownstone, Nikki, was from Detroit, my city. And, you know, I look at that, I'm like, wow, it's unbelievable. I look back on my life and some of the things like working on Transformers with Steven Spielberg.
Right.
Like, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? With Tyrese. That was a super highlight for me. Another highlight, working with on the Jill Scott project, which also certified gold. I think, you know, it felt like God was like, I'm gonna set you up right here.
Right.
I'm gonna put you right here. And, you know, a lot of people say to me, hey man, how did you get so many plaques working with so many different artists?
Right.
And I'm like, hey, God placed me in the right spot at the right time to get that opportunity. So I would say, you know, working with Mark Morrison and looking at Chris Brown and G-Eazy do the record now, that's huge. Provide, Return of the Mac, hear Mark Morrison on the front of that. Like, it's crazy. So, you know, my career has been a blessing all the way through. I can't complain about anything.
Sure, it's more impressive. I'm glad you felt comfortable sharing some of that. The show is called Music and Medicine. In what way do you feel it's either been a hero in your life or just something that helped you deal with a health type of challenge, whatever that may be, whether it's sublimating ego or being able to work with, you know, all types of people? Yeah,
well, music has been the key to my survival. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, one thing is a great way to make money if you do your business correctly. Two, you know, I get excited, man, when I hear a record that's on fire.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I get excited, man. It just makes me feel good, and it puts me in a super positive light. And, you know, it's nothing like hearing your record on the radio and it's doing well. Right. So music, like every time I hear somebody send me a text, hey man, they're playing your record, I feel good. It's like a shot. Right. Not a COVID shot, but it's like a shot.
A shot of positive adrenaline.
A shot, yeah. A shot of positive adrenaline, like. So yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Where can we find you? I know you're CEO of your company. Tell us about it and your IG and all the gram stuff.
So you can find me boss_Billy Moss on Instagram, just Billy Moss on Facebook, and Mr. Billy Moss on Twitter. And it's gonna be a billion dollar Billy or Billionaire Billy Instagram coming soon. So yeah.
I love it. One last little pearl, because we've talked so much about the wisdom you've imparted to others and worked with others. Something that you feel you've learned from an artist that really helped you grow.
That really helped me grow. Like, I would have to say this. Like, wow, that's a good question. He stuck me. Can you repeat that question again? No. Okay. So, something that I learned is you gotta be positive. You know what I'm saying? You can't stop. You know what I'm saying? I say this to my daughter too. I tell her, hey, you never could stop, you know, at your dream. You know, my daughter, she came up and when I was making records and she wanted to rehearse with the different artists that, you know, I was working with, and she was watching me work with Tyrese and all them, and she was like, I want to be a singer, I want to be an actor, you know, I want to do the same thing. And I said, well, you just can't stop. You got to continue to grind, and you got to push, and move forward. And now she has her own show on Disney. Called Disney Bake Off. That's one of the shows, and the other show is High School Musical, the series. So she's a series regular on that show, and she's done Blackish. She just did a Grey's Anatomy. Grey's Anatomy. So yeah, and when I watch my daughter now, she's 21. She's doing it. She never stopped, and she's still going. Right. You know. So that's the advice I would give. Never stop. Keep going.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your time. Thanks for all the work and the great music you've given us. I mean, you know, from Brownstone all the way forward. It's been a blessing to be part of your life indirectly, and now at least to have actually met you. You may or may not know, but we've been working on this for months. So and I had to twist your arm, but I figured out a way. I was like, okay, we'll go through a tweet to get to you.
Oh, okay, wow.
So
Okay,
whatever it takes. So shout out to Chris Bridges on that one. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Shout out.
Exactly. Thanks so much. Sure.
Thank you.
Welcome to Music and Medicine. Welcome to Music and Medicine. Welcome to Music and Medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Moshe Lewis.